Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in my little beginner's wardrobe series. In this video we will tackle our first piece of clothing, a nice and easy skirt pattern with an elasticated waist in the back. So you don't need to think or worry about a tricky closure. If skirts are not exactly your jam, no problem. Stay tuned for the next video in the series, in which I will sew a very similar thing, but in form of pants. You might want to hit the subscription button while you're at it. And if you didn't already watch the first video of this series, I would encourage you to do so, because you will learn the basics and a sewing terminology here. And you can make a cute little bag. So, without further ado, let's grab a pattern for our skirt. The pattern is available on my website for free. Go to dressdeveloper.de and to patterns. And there you have the skirt begonia. Now, click on Create Pattern. And here you can select a size. You can also upload a measure set with your very own measurements. If you want to try this out, actually a skirt is a very good project for that, because you only need 3 measurements to make it your own. For this demonstration, I will use a ready size, and then I will add a skirt length. I will add some seam allowance. Paper format A4 is fine, and then I can create the pattern. Now I get 2 links. The bottom link here is what I show you first. This is a cover with a little drawing and some informations about the measurements and the pattern pieces. And you see here, that's very important for the skirt, the notions. You will need a 2.5 centimeter wide elastic, and it should be 28.375. I think you can round this up. let's say 28.4 centimeters long for the back. And here's an overview over the printing layout. You see we have here the 2 skirt pieces, the back and the front. A back waistband, a front waistband, and a patch pocket. And now I need to create this again. And here is the pattern itself, which you need to print and assemble. If you need help with the printing and assembling process, just go back and watch the first video in the series. So let's talk about the sewing patterns real quick. You will notice that the sewing pattern is really small in relation to my hand. That's because I will sew this skirt for my half-scale dress form. And this makes it very easy for me to fit everything on screen. So here we have a skirt back and the skirt front. And you will notice that the skirt back is a bit wider than the skirt front. This is because the back skirt has some additional ease built in. Same goes for the back waistband in relation to the front waistband. And here in the back we will install this piece of elastic, which will snatch everything in, and you can easily pull the skirt up over your hips. On the skirt front you will see here a guideline, and on this guideline we will install this little patch pocket here. Now the patch pocket does look a bit funny, because here we have an edge which will be folded under and stitched in place, and so we have a nicely finished edge to put our hands in. So as always, when you are printing your patterns, check the control square. The control square should be 5 centimeters long in each direction. In my case 2.5, because I printed it in half scale. But this square is important to check if your printer settings were right. Here you have the arrows, which indicates the grain line. We will align the pattern indicated by this. And here you see a new sign, this little double arrow here. This does indicate that this edge should be placed on the fold, which means the fabric will be folded and we will put the pattern on the edge. We will just do it. Let's see what I got for fabric. This is this. Now this is a nice lightweight cotton fabric with a print on one side and a plain red on the left side. It does not have any stretch and it is not too thick, so it will nicely gather down. Okay, I said earlier that we will need to place the pattern pieces on the fold. So this is why I fold my fabric. And here I will put a pattern on the fold. Why don't I have any pins? Okay, one moment. Here are my pins. And I will pin this in place. So this is the front. And here's the back. I need a little bit more. Yes, that's good. Again, pattern is placed on the fold. Pin it in place. And I'll do the same for waistbands. You see here the arrow, like here. Here's the selvage. So this is the way the grain line is running. So this is the way that we will... I'm a liar. I don't need to put the waistband on the fold because it says here cut 1, while with the skirt piece tells you cut 1 on fold. So I don't need to waste any fabric and cut this double layered. What I need to cut double layered is a pocket piece. So can I place it there? I think I can place it like this. Doesn't matter that I turned the pattern piece. The only thing that matters is that we actually have 2 mirrored pieces of that. So let's cut this out. Okay, the direction of a pattern piece would actually matter if I wanted to match the pattern up. I don't really want to do this effort right now, and the pattern is not exactly directional. It's just these dots, flowers. So I don't care. Here's a skirt front. Okay, now put this here and back to the waistband. So where's our selvage? Here's our selvage. So we can cut waistbands like this. That. And we need to cut the front waistband another time out of this lightweight interfacing. That's the front. And you actually want to cut this a bit smaller than the original pattern piece. That's why I'm lining this up. As said, a bit smaller. Actually longer. I want it to be smaller. So, like this. Okay, And now we have everything cut out. Before we can start sewing, very important, we need to mark all these notches here. So I'm just slipping into the seam allowance. Here are notches too, which indicates the hem. And here again. Okay. So now we have everything cut out. That was pretty fast actually. But there's one last prep step to do, and that's ironing on the interfacing on the front waistband. So let's make a little field trip to the sewing board. Okay, so let's start with the pockets. We have this diagonal line here and this fancy looking flap, and we need to finish this edge by folding the flap under and fold on the seam allowance gets folded to the inside. Actually, it would be helpful if I pressed this. I didn't think about it when I was at the ironing table. So what it should do. Other side. Like this. And one last pin. Okay. So, and now we will stitch this edge right along here on the inside. So now that we have this, there's one thing left to do before we can start assembling the skirt, and this is to finish the raw edges here. Because the skirt is not lined, we need to prevent the fabric from fraying, like this. So there are many different ways to do this. The easiest way would be to just use a pair of pinking shears on the edges, so you get a nice pinked edge here. I haven't tried that out myself, but I am told that this does hold up really well, at least in some tight woven cotton. I would usually run this through the serger, but serger is out for this series, so I need to come up with a different idea. And what I'm going to do is to simply overcast this with a zigzag stitch. Every modern sewing machine should have a zigzag stitch. Many modern models have some kind of a serger imitation stitch. You can try this out too, but a zigzag stitch will do. And I need to overcast the inner edge and the bottom edge of the pockets and the sides of the skirt pieces, here and here. So let's do this now. So, nice and finished. And we can now add the patch pockets to the front. Let's check, is this the front? Yes, this is the back and this is the front. So, I will line these up here. Like this, and pin these in place. And the other side. I think we need to come in a bit further. Here. Okay. And now we need to fold over these edges just to the inside so that everything looks nice and neat. Here. This side. And second pocket. All the same. Okay, and now we will stitch the pocket in place, just along the inner edge and the bottom. Try to stay close at the edge while you sew the pockets on. When you reach a corner, just put the needle down, put the pressure foot up, and then you can turn the fabric around. So here is what that looks now. Pockets are in place. And for the next step we need the two waistbands, and we will sew these together, right sides facing, so the back neckband waistband has the right side facing up, and the front waistband has the right side facing down. I pin this in place, and the other side. Now there's one thing which is special about this. You remember the notches we cut in the back waistband? So this center notch here is actually just the center, and this notch on the side is the seam allowance. And this is important, we need to sew one side, the longer side, all up to this notch in the center, and then leave this open and sew again here the seam allowance. So this bit here between the two notches is not sewn, it stays open. On the other side the same. This place does not get stitched, because this is where we will later thread the elastic through. So if you sew that close, you might need the seam ripper later. Let's sew. I didn't mention it before, but make sure to back tag at the beginning and the end of your seams. At the waistband this is especially important, because this might get strained while you're threading the elastic through. So that's it. See? Like here's an opening and here's an opening. Where is my scissor? Let's cut these threads. So they don't get in the way. Lots of threads. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now the waistband gets now folded in half. The seam allowance is pressed open like this, and then you fold it in half and pin. The other side pressed open, folded in half. You can press this actually, I'm just too lazy to get to the ironing board again. Do like I say, not like I do. Okay. Now, before we can sew the waistband in place, we need to join the skirt pieces. So, front and the back skirt gets lined up. And we will simply sew these together at the sides with a good old plain straight stitch. Here and here. Okay, let's clip these threads too. So many threads. will now turn the skirt inside out. Like this. And now we can attach the waistband. So the interfaced side is the front and the other side is the back. So let's line up the sides. Where's the seam? Here's the seam. Just line these up. I will press the seam allowance open. Pin this in place, and the other side too. Seam allowance open. And waistband in place. And now I can pin the rest of the waistband where it should be. That's the front. And here's the back. And then I will just sew this in place on the top with a nice little straight stitch. And now I switch to a zigzag stitch and finish with raw edge. Okay, so again, let's cut these threads. Now we have our skirt assembled, only that this would be too large for our dress form, and I made a mistake. Gosh. I now have the opening, which I left for the elastic, on the outside. It's not terrible. I will sew this close with a little bit of hand sewing, but you would want this opening on the inside. So when you put on your waistband, you should want the opening here on the top, so that it folds over to the inside. But that's not terrible. We can work around this. So we need to insert the elastic, which means we need to know how long this elastic needs to be. And this is where I check with the cover, because here it says how long the elastic should be. 2.5 centimeters wide and 25.2 centimeters long. For this skirt, since I printed it in half scale, I need to do a little bit of math here. 4 centimeters are meant for allowance, which means I have 21 centimeters in half. It should be 10.5 plus 4, 14.5. I hope that's right. We will see. 14.5. You need to do the math, you just cut what's stated here. Snip. Okay. Now we need some safety pins. Before we can do anything, we need to anchor our elastic in place. So I push it here to the inside. Hope I get this. Come on, I want to have you 2 centimeters to the inside. Bit snug. Oh, I feel it. Okay. Can't use a safety pin in this case because I wouldn't get it out again. So, safety pin. Now, take the safety pin and anchor the elastic in place, like this. And then you need a second safety pin, pin it on the elastic. Then you thread it through. Actually, the safety pin is a bit wide. My waistband is so small. Oh my. I think I need a different elastic. Stay tuned. Okay, I did find some smaller safety pins and some smaller elastic. So let's do this again. Take this out. And then I will cut this piece again. So I put the elastic in here, 2 centimeters, and I pin it in place. Now I put a smaller safety pin onto the smaller elastic. And let's thread this through. Yeah, that's working. Nice. thread this all the way through. Come out on the other side. Now I will anchor this in place. For the moment I want about 2 centimeters pulled out here. Pin this in place. And then I need to put this little piece of elastic into the other side here. You can just use a pin to poke this through. Don't stab yourself. Okay, where we go. Now I need a different safety pin and say, do this down. And I can release this one. Now you have elasticated back. And now I want you to take this lovely skirt that we made and try it on. Because you don't want to notice after you finished everything that it doesn't fit, that the elastic is too snug. So let's go to my dress form and let's check this out. So here's my dress form. Here's the skirt. Let's put it on. And I would say we have a winner. I would say this is pretty good. So we have the elasticated back. And the front. Nice! Now we need to fix the elastic in place. So we just sew a line of stitching here to fix that, and on the other side too. Now you can remove the safety pins. And nothing should come loose. Now, one additional thing you might want to do, because the elastic we have in here might twist in a washing machine or with wear, so you can run a straight stitch along the center of the band and in the back to prevent this and to distribute the gathers actually a little bit nicer. So I will do this now. You need to stretch the fabric while sewing, and maybe in some cases you might need both hands for this. Okay, this is where we are now, and since I placed the opening on the outside, I will now go and neaten this up with a couple of hand stitches. So if you get this on the inside, you can do it, you don't have to necessarily. I just wanted to show you how you can do this. Come on. So I need a hand sewing needle and some thread, obviously. Okay. Going to anchor the thread. Just make it easy and tie a knot. So. Now I'm going a couple of threads on one side, a couple of threads on the other side. This is called a ladder stitch. Come on. And you see here why the threads form a little ladder in the middle, like this. And when I now pull this close, you will see that the stitching tightens up and the opening gets closed, nearly invisible. This is a very, very useful stitch. I should have cut the other threads. There's always too many threads. Okay, pull tight. Easy. That looks better. And when you're done, you just pull the needle through a couple of times. Please. You're getting on my nerves. And pull the needle through. Then you can bury the thread in the fabric. And cut. And on the other side, we only need to bury our thread. Cut. Since I back tagged everywhere, I can just cut these threads, but if you want to have a neater finish, you can just bury these threads like I showed you. But cutting them should be fine and not lead to any unraveling. So our skirt is nearly done. The last step we need to do is to hem the thing. So I'll just go here to the side where I should find a little notch. Hard to see, but here's the notch. So I just fold the fabric up, pressing the seam allowance open. And then I fold the seam allowance of the hem to the inside like this. So we have a so-called double turned hem. That's basically the same like we did on the pocket. So I will now pin this in place all around. And sew this with a good old plain straight stitch. Again, if you have trouble to get your fabric to behave and to lie down neatly, just take your skirt over to the ironing board and press everything. I know no one wants to press while sewing or any other time, but yes, it does lead to a nicer and cleaner finish. Pin's enough. Seam allowance to the inside and fold it down. So let's take this to a sewing machine and sew all the way down, all the way around. And when we're done,
congratulations, you made it to the end of the video, and maybe you have made yourself a new skirt. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was of some help. If you have any questions about this video, let me know in the comments. There will be more videos in this little series, so stay tuned. Until then, bye!